Hello, friends. We are back again for the final chapter of the saga of the Haslab Ectomobile Ecto 1, with the final thing to talk about, that being the included figures. So, yeah, it's been a journey. It's definitely been a journey. But before we talk about the figures, just a minor addendum as well as a PSA on the Ecto 1 itself. So, first and foremost, I wanted to address the antennas because when I did the unboxing of this, if you noticed, if you watched that, I talked about the little loops on the antenna at the ends of the antenna, thinking that those hooked into the roof, which they didn't. And so I thought, after looking at other people talking about it and how they did the whole bending of everything and looking at how it was in the instructions, I thought maybe I was mistaken and that they just needed to, bend and hang loose. But the more I thought about it, the more I thought that wasn't right. So I went and rewatched as many scenes as I could and confirmed that, yeah, they do hook into the roof. They just don't hook into the roof here without a little finagling. So I also had a couple people in the comments confirm this as well. So what I did here is I straightened this back up and I twisted this, and it's still, folded, bent a little bit, as you can see here if I pop it out of there. And what I've done is this little loop right here, I loop it right through here and tuck it in right behind there, and that actually holds it in place. Likewise here on the other side. So yeah, I'm turning this sideways in a weird way, but this does tilt. It is supposed to tilt. That's accurate to the show. And then it was hard to notice because depending on the scene, it looked like this was hooking in a different area around this canister, but it does look like it's supposed to hook like right in the middle. So what I've done here, and again, I still have this bent because that does help. But I've hooked this like this. And then I put it in here first, right down in the center, and then twist this and pop it into place like so. And that gives you a fairly accurate way for how that is supposed to actually look. Now, the other thing I want to talk about is it's time to address the stickers, because I started putting the stickers on the roof and, well, the bumpers as I was trying to figure out, my ideal way of displaying this. And I can confirm that, yeah, these stickers are not great. So the way these stickers work is actually twofold. So one, they are made out of that plastic sticky sticker material that only sticks to plastic. If you've ever worked with Shrinky Dinks or something like that, you might know what I'm talking about. Or in this case, the signage for the Ecto 1A, the way those signs stick back onto that plastic sheet. But these are also stickers with the glue on them. The problem being, these stickers here are so small and that material is so stiff that even if you stick it down into place, it's going to pop up again. There's just not enough surface area and not enough glue, and that sticker is not supple enough to hold it into place. Your larger stickers will hold on just fine. So like this sticker right here, no issues whatsoever. Stuck it on and it's good to go. But these little side stickers right here that are super tiny like to pop up. Likewise, this one here, it stayed on for quite a while, but eventually it too also popped up. So what I've done, realizing that these were plastic stickers, is I did attack these with some heat from a hair dryer. And that has seemed to make them stay. These have stayed on all day. The one we just looked at here, there is a tiny little bit, I don't know if you can see it right there, that likes to come up, but it is still sort of arching and holding on into place. Now, I think that will work for these stickers that are going on the rounded surfaces. The ones that are going on the straight flat surfaces, I don't think you're going to have a problem with. These um, because it's flat. That's where these adhere the best. Though I would be careful if you are applying heat. If you look here, my little antenna here are now bent slightly. That heat did warp these little pieces right here. So something to be aware of with that. So yes, the stickers are crap. So that really does lead me to my main negative about this set, and that is the stickers here make sense. I don't think these will be that big of a deal, given it's still slightly curved, but those stickers are bigger and are mostly going on a flat surface. But the stickers here should not have been stickers here. This should have all been tampoed because there's no reason to take the stickers off of this. The whole point of the stickers and the way they're designed is to be able to remove it so you can change it to one vehicle or the other, but you remove the entire roof. So no stickers should have to go on the roof. Everything on the roof should be tampoed on because it's going to be permanent one way or the other. So yeah, that's my major nitpick. But I also promised a PSA, so I am going to give you a PSA. When you are changing the roof of the Ecto 1, be very, very mindful of that CB radio, because that CB radio's cables like to sit one direction, and if it gets up under this roof, you will get what happened here. You see the other little piece right here. So yeah, that roof snapped that cable like a pair of scissors, because it doesn't hang down, it hangs back, which puts it right in the range of getting right up in here. So that is something to be very, very mindful of. That is a shame, but I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal for me because I can reattach these, use some like little wire tape and heat, or wire shrink wraps, whatever you want to call them. And I'll probably glue this into place with this hooked on there like that, because let's face it, there's not really a whole lot of scenes I can remember where they were using this thing. So as long as it's in there and it's complete, I don't think it'll be that big of a deal. But just again, a little PSA for people, to be very, very mindful when you're changing the roof of this piece. Now back to the figures. All right, now back to the figures we are. So yes, of course, we get these included figures. If you got just the regular Ecto 1, you of course got Tully, Slimer, and the Library Ghost. And if you got the 1A, you got the included Ghostbusters themselves. So let's go through here, I think probably what I'm going to say from the best to worst scale. Now, starting off with Slimer, the Green Ghost, the Spud. And yeah, this is easily the best figure out of this set. This is just amazing. Make sure this focuses, because it don't like to focus when it's up close. But you can see they got his beady little yellow eyes. They got them funky teeth, the big mouth, the badonk-a-donk. And yeah, he just looks fantastic. Now he does get a little clear, makes it look like sculpted to look like goo stand, so he can hover, a little bit. Now he is solid green plastic, but he does have a nice wash to pick out all the details. Though I do wish that they had done him in a transparent green, with some, transparent paint options. I think that would have looked a little bit better, but it may have been a little glossy. Here he's not quite so glossy, but he still looks really, really good. Now he is articulated, though he does have very limited articulation. He has a universal joint right there at the elbow, so it can go up and down, rotate all around. We also have that universal hinge and rotation there at the hands. No alternate hands or anything, so just what you see here is what you get. And of course, that is about the same articulation on the actual puppet itself, though he is solid, so you can't really warp or move that mouth or anything like that if you want to get him into any other poses. All you get is this. But still, what you get is fantastic. Easily the best figure out of the bunch. Next up is the library ghost, and she also just looks absolutely fantastic. Now she is cast out of a clear plastic, a clear purple, and she does have, a sort of a fade paint going on, as well as painted on lace work right there, all the way down her arms as well. Now she also is very limited articulation, so the head is on a ball joint, so you can get a lot of moving in and around there, but the shoulders are just old school swivels. They only go around. She does have universal elbows though, so she can tilt and rotate at the elbows, as well as universal joints at the wrists, so she can swivel and move in and out there. Much like Slimer, she also gets a display base, very similar, just much longer, because she, has no legs. Oh, she does also have a waist swivel. I forgot to mention that. Now, she doesn't have any other interchangeable hands, any other interchangeable heads. I kind of forgot how to talk there for a minute. So again, what you see is what you get. Would have been kind of nice if you could have like an interchangeable head where she's sort of warping into her monster form. That'd be kind of cool. But she does get a couple of accessories. So one accessory, which you saw her holding, which is probably one of the coolest accessories ever, is her open book. It does have, if you can see it, it does have some sculpted detail here on the inside on both pages. Little pentagram looking thing. Come on, focus. Here on this side, and some numbers and text over here on the other side. But if you flip it over, you will find that it is in fact Tobin's spirit guide. And I got it upside down, but hey, you get it. There it is, Tobin's spirit guide. Little Illuminati symbol there on the other side. Some nice weathering, sculpting on there. This could definitely use a wash because it is all in just this one solid tan color. And it is a softer material. So, any customizers out there want to custom paint that, I think that'd be kind of a neat thing. Her other accessory is just a stack of books, not like a full tower of books, but I imagine these are books that are stacked in a way that no human could possibly stack books. If you get that joke. There is some paint here to differentiate, the four different books that are up here. And of course, there is also sculpted detail on the book on the top, which is an Atlas book right there. Our next figure in the list is our Louis Tully, Rick Moranis himself. And yeah, this is him in Ghostbusters 2 when he strapped on Egon's suit and went down to the library, catching the bus along with Slimer here. So yeah. Now, as far as this guy is concerned, if you have any of the previous Ghostbusters plasma series, whether that be the original movie or the Afterlife Ghostbusters, this is pretty much the exact same thing. In fact, a lot of this here is the exact same sculpt as what's on my figure, the figure that's supposed to be me anyway. He does have different boots though that are shorter boots to make him a little bit shorter. So yeah, we'll go through his articulation as it's going to be the same articulation with the other Ghostbusters, so we won't go through their articulation. But he does have a ball joint up here at the head, get a full range of movement. I do believe that's a double barbell up here. We do have universal shoulder joints, so you can go in and out all the way around. He does also have the butterfly forward and back. We have bicep swivel, double jointed elbows, which are nice and tight ratchets on mine. We do have the universal pin and swivel joints here at the wrists, which are articulated to go up and down. We do have a ball-like joint here at the waist, as well as ball and swivel joints here at the hips. A waist thigh swivel, double jointed knees, as well as a rocker here and a in and out at the foot. So all in all, again, if you have those first Ghostbusters figures, you kind of already know what to expect. I will say that he does have a darker, more dirty looking suit. It does have a subtle wash to it to bring out some of that, It's been around for a while. The hose here is a different color, and I do believe that is accurate to the movie. As for the Rick Moranis head sculpt itself, it is a decent likeness. It's not perfect, not by a long shot, but it is a decent likeness. Um, and I will say the likenesses on these are where we're really going to have a struggle. And we'll get there when we get to the others. You can't see it on camera, but a lot of the lines, the little wrinkle lines that he had on his forehead, are here. They're sculpted in, but because it's such a flat paint, you really can't tell it's there without really looking at it. You can kind of sort of see it there. Um, all of them, all of the Ghostbusters figures kind of have the soft likeness. If you look in the front, straight on from the front, not great. Look at them profile side, not great. But when you get them in that 3 3/4 inch profile turn, that's when they actually look like who they're supposed to look like. That looks like Rick Moranis right there. But if you look at him straight on, it just sort of kind of looks like Rick Moranis. All of them are like that, and we'll go over that. Now, he does come with the same accessories that the original Ghostbusters came with, so he does have his PKE meter, which, as you can see, does clip onto his belt right there. It is in the permanent open scanning position, and it can, in fact, fit in his hand. His hand is a softer material, so you can get it in there just fine. He is also the only Ghostbuster in this set that includes a ghost trap. You can see it's nicely painted, nicely detailed. Again, if you had any of the first wave plasma series Ghostbusters, this is the exact same. Though I will say that the plastic used here for the proton pack and for the ghost trap is a darker material. And of course, he does include the proton pack. It does come on attached in the packaging with the wand separate. He does also include a stream that you're not supposed to cross. And if you saw my unboxing, I kind of already mentioned this. This time around, the material being used for the wands is much, 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 much softer. And that's a problem if you're planning on displaying it with the stream attached, which just sort of plugs in there. And you can already start to see what's happening. It does not support the weight of the stream. So if you want to have these guys displayed blasting, and this is true for all of them, you're going to have to find a way to support this stream. Otherwise, you're going to end up with limp wand syndrome. And believe me, you don't want to end up with limp wand syndrome. That's just depressing. You know who has the worst limp wand syndrome, by the way? You know who has the worst limp wand syndrome? If you're a fan of G.I. Joe, Dreadnought Torch, my God. You think this is bad. Woo, boy. And now on to the Fab Four themselves, our Ghostbusters 2 versions of the Busters themselves. So yeah, are we ending things on a high note? No. So as I mentioned with Tully, if you have the first wave Ghostbusters, you already know what to expect here. Everything on these guys is the same, with the exception of the belt, the thighs, and the colors, and well, the head sculpts, obviously. So again, this is the exact same sculpt that's on the Ghostbusters 1 figures, just with the darker paint. They don't have the hose connection here on the thigh, and they have a different belt right here, though it is very similar. For me, the one thing about these figures that I still don't understand, and I really didn't get it when they were funding this thing in the beginning, was the color of the Ghostbusters 2 jumpsuits in this dark purple. Because I swear I remember in the movie they're this color. I'm going to go back and watch that and verify that, but I'm pretty certain that they were still wearing this color suit in the movie. The only difference that I remember being specific was the hose. The leg hose in the movie was gone in Ghostbusters 2. I think that part's accurate, but the color here, I don't quite get unless there's something I'm missing. Again, I am a Ghostbusters fan, but I'm not like a super Ghostbusters fan that knows everything about everything there is to know about everything. So, yeah, if you know what I'm missing, let me know in the comments down below. Maybe you can educate me. So outside of the colors, the only real difference here is the head sculpts, and yeah, we have that same problem. So the Ghostbusters one head sculpts were pretty bad, in my opinion. With the only one for me who looked like he was supposed to look like, in my personal opinion, being the only one of that series I have, which is Egon here. I do feel like Egon looks like Harold Ramis here. And we'll compare him to the current new Egon. And to me, it is a very night and day difference. This is obviously Harold Ramis, and this one's not so much. But again, if you get him at that profile 3/4 turn, you can kind of see a little Harold Ramis in there, but with painted on glasses. We'll talk about that here in a second. But I will say proportionately, I do think the proportions on this head for the rest of his body are more matching to Harold Ramis, whereas this one was a little bit bigger but looks more like Harold Ramis. But yeah, they kind of like warp the glasses, if it'll focus here, into his face, and it just makes the glasses look painted on, and it just doesn't look good. And then of course that smile, that smile, that Egon is not known for that smile, and he does have it in one scene, but honestly, this just makes this guy look like a serial killer who's coming to steal your crabs. I don't know. I don't know. Likewise, once again, here we have Winston, and very much like the first Winston, it's a very soft likeness to Ernie Hudson. But again, you put him in that sort of 3/4 profile turn, and you can see Ernie Hudson in there. But when you're looking at it straight on, not quite so much. Peter, I think, has the best upgrade, because when it came down to the Ghostbusters one set, Peter's likeness to Bill Murray was absolute trash. There's no denying that. This very much looks straight on like Bill Murray, but the eyes seem a little weird. But once again, you get him in that 3/4 profile turn, and he looks like Bill Murray. Profile, not so much. Straight on, a little bit, but that 3/4 turn, that looks like Bill Murray. I don't know if that's just a limitation with that photoreal tech that they're using, but it is. And then, of course, lastly, we have Ray, our Dan Aykroyd, which again, this one, much like the Peter, is definitely an upgrade. It does at least look like Dan Aykroyd a little bit from the front. I'm guessing this is him staring at the painting the first time when he first becomes possessed. For those that don't know, he was actually supposed to be possessed that whole movie. And again, you turn him in that 3/4 turn, and he looks more like Dan Aykroyd should. So that's really weird. But yeah, so the head likenesses, which were kind of the draw because everybody was excited that these were going to have new head sculpts as opposed to those first ones, still kind of come off not great. I think Peter's is the best upgrade, and I really do feel like Egon's is the worst, absolute worst. All of these figures do come with their proton packs, and they do come attached in the box, with the exception, again, of the wands, and they do also have their proton streams. None of them have any ghost traps or PKE meters. Now, I will say, let's compare here to Egon from the first movie. And as you can see, it is a darker plastic, and I do believe that the colors that are being used are a little bit more vibrant. But there are some missing paint apps. So like you can see, this wire here is red here. Over on this one, it is black. And the wire here, the paint only comes to where it hits here. on this side. Sorry, I'm sitting here pointing to it, but yeah, you can see the red. It's hard to see that red here on camera, but this red comes all the way up, crisscrosses over here. Same thing, this wire up here is red, crisscrosses all the way down here. On this pack, the red wire comes up to here and then stops, and then the wires on this side are not painted. Now, all of them, they do have the lights on the cyclotron painted in a different spot on each one. So if you look here, this one's painted right up here, down here. On this one is right there. Same thing with Tully. His is painted the same as Egon's because he's wearing Egon's proton pack, I guess. I don't know. But they all have that cyclotron painted in a different spot. Now, I did have a QC issue with mine, which I would not have noticed if the piece was not floating around in the package. And that was on Rinston's proton pack. You notice right here. See that little piece hanging down right there? So yeah, this was loose in the pack. And that made me today years old when I realized that this was a separate piece that was glued on. Not a big deal. Again, I can just plug this in here and, well, I just dropped it and glue it into place. But that is something to be mindful of. You know, be careful when you're unboxing these. If you have one loose, it may be floating around. Now, the other accessories that are included with our new Ghostbusters, we have the Ghostbusters 2 mug. Because why not? We also have, and this is just silly, but hey, why not? We have the balloon. We have balloons for the kiddies, but we have a balloon. It does have the Ghostbusters logo on there, but it's so tiny, I don't know if my camera will even want to look at it. Yeah, it just don't want to focus on that. There we go. Well, I lost it. But yeah, you get the little balloon for the kitty. You can put the balloon in the cup if you want to do that. I don't know why you'd want to do that, but hey, you can do that. We also get the toaster with the slime coming up out of it. And I like this. This is cool. The dancing toaster. It is made out of a silvery plastic with some black paint on the sides and on the bottom, as well as pink paint for the slime. Now, sadly, even though the slots on the toaster are sculpted in, they are not picked out with paint, which kind of breaks the illusion a little bit, but, you know, not that big of a deal. And lastly, and much more importantly for the Ghostbusters 2 Ghostbusters, is the slime blowers. So yeah, we get 2 slime blowers, which of course is fitting. And we do get nice tampo detail on here. How we could tampo it on the slime blowers, but not on the Ecto 1, I don't know. Now the hoses are separate pieces that you do have to plug on. I do hope I've got these plugged in the right orientation. There's no, the instructions just show you, hey, wires plug in right here. Oh, hey, wires plug in right here. From what I remember in the movie, this is how it's supposed to look. Again, all the detail that's supposed to be here is here. The way the vest is all put together, the weird, goofy box that sits right here is there. And yeah, now this is also made out of a soft, flexible plastic, which I guess it needs to be for the strap right there. And of course, the hoses can move and flex and bend all over the place. Now we're going to go ahead and put this on Winston so we can show how this works. Very similar to the Proton Pack, where you just have the little clip that goes onto the side. However, the difference being is that this is actually clipped on both sides. You still have the peg here for the hole in the back, and you just slip this on over the head. It does have a cutout here, so you don't have to pop the head off in order to get this on. You may still want to do that if you choose to. It might make it a little bit easier, but you don't actually have to. Then this will just plug in over the pegs on the side. Then you just take that strap it however you need to strap it. And then you can get a good grip on that handle. Just keep in mind that this is very, very, very soft, flexible plastic. And I do believe that is actually softer than the hand is. So be careful. Don't want to warp or tear that in any way. And because he has that same swivel down articulation, you can get him gripping onto that as well to get him in some two-handed blasting slime poses. There we go. Now, to go along with the slime blowers, we get two slime blowing effects right here. Nice translucent red plastic. And it does just peg in to the front of the nozzle right there. And I'm thankful to say that due to how thick this is and how solid this is, you're not going to get a whole lot of warping going on there. You want him sliming, I guess, Ray, because, that happens. And so here we are at last at the end of this entire cluster that was this whole HasLab. So yeah, overall, I am very, very happy with the product. I will say, you saw what I said about the stickers. I think the whole stickers are not great. I think they'll work fine as far as the bulk of the car is concerned, but everything that goes up here is trash. And I'm pretty sure we'll see some third-party options to deal with that as time goes on. I think as far as the car itself is concerned, overall, everything is fantastic. The figures overall are decent. They're decent figures. I do feel very let down once again, by the head sculpts on the Ghostbusters themselves, but also the proton packs and the wands really need a redesign. I think the pack itself is fine, but the way the wand works is just not good. I think it would have been better if the wand itself was made out of very hard plastic with a rope or a string attached to it. Would have been a better option. I mean, look at how that is bending with just him holding it. That's terrible, and that's actually worse than what was on the first Ghostbusters movie and the Ghostbusters Afterlife wands. Because look at Phoebe's wand here; it it is not very rubbery. It is a little bit more rigid, but it still doesn't hold up to the weight of the plasma streams, proton streams. Sorry, anyway, and so and so over time they become droopy, whereas these are going to be droopy right out of the get-go, which they are right here. I do believe that we'll see the Ghostbusters themselves get individual releases, probably with maybe the more movie accurate colors. But overall, I still think this was a good deal. I'm really impressed with the overall result. I think the car alone is worth it. The figures are just a bonus. Anyway, that's going to be it for me, guys. Y'all have a good one.